Hi, and welcome. Have you ever thought about castles? You know, those big old things with a bunch of bricks and what do they even do? Well, I have. So that is why we are here. We are at a castle. And not just any castle. This is the Fort Haight. Now, what are we doing at this castle? I mean, it's a castle. There's like 50 of them in this game. Well, I am trying to see if it's a good castle or a bad one. See, even though castles are so awesome and like cool looking, some of them really just suck. So I've done, I think, 3 of these already, but I'm going to see if Fort Haight is indeed a good castle. Now, before we begin, I just want to mention I have a Discord server, which I'm hoping to get some like games going, like Night Train or any other game. So if you want to join that, it'll be in the description and the pinned comment. Also, while you're down there, if you would consider subscribing, it'll help out a lot. Anyways, onto the video. So, how does one judge if a castle is good or not? Like, what makes a good castle, and what makes a bad castle, a bad castle? Well, it's basically just really 2 things. Somewhat 3, but mainly 2 things. So, here they are. The 2 things is defensibility and the reason why that castle is there. And the third kind of thing is actually where the castle is located. But the location mainly though involves the other 2. So it's basically just down to 2 things. So let's just start with the first one and just look at where this castle is located. So first off, when we open up the map, pretty big map, you can see that it's actually in the bottom right corner, roughly. I mean, there's all this down there, but you get the idea. So right away, you can see there's a main path up to it, and there is actually a cliffside to all the other sides of this castle. Other than that, it's not too crazy. I'll show you the bird's eye view of it, though. And here it is. So basically just looks like how it is on the map. Well, now that you can see where this castle is located, let's get into the defensibility of this castle. So, by the way, in the save file, I've already done part of the quest, so you can't actually see the siege going on, but there used to be like a small tiny siege here. Nothing too crazy. But we're not really talking about the numbers of troops inside anyways, we're just talking about the possibility of a defensibility of this castle. So, let's just start from the beginning here. Right away when you're walking up to this castle, there are already these sort of boundary spike things. And, yeah, you can actually see on the ground as well that they're raining arrows from the castle. We'll go up there later, but the only way into this castle is going up this path, which is already heavily fortified, and then there's only one entrance to the castle, which is actually up a flight of stairs, and once you're up here, there is a gate. Now, the gate is currently open, but let's just forget that it's open. So, back here, we can see those fortified barriers, and actually, because it is in a choke point going uphill, there are these side little cliffs that soldiers can stand on and just rain arrows. So it's basically like nature's own little castle thing here, because we can see these in some other designs. I don't actually know exactly what this type of choke point is called, but it is kind of cool that FromSoft actually did it like this instead of just having this also like part of the castle. So yeah, we have a little choke point here. You can set up archers, just rain down arrows to the enemies. So yeah, I mean, outside of this castle already is very, very good. I don't really think they did anything wrong here. Yeah, it seems to be pretty good. Now, let's talk just real quick about if there was a siege here. Mainly just talking about a battering ram. Because if you're trying to get a siege tower up this with all these barriers, it'd be very, very difficult. I don't think it's very possible for a siege tower to go up here. But let's talk about a battering ram. Because it is not possible for a battering ram to break into this castle. Mainly because of these flight of stairs. Battering rams are pretty big. And this is a, you know, a very, very sharp turn. So if you were to make like a small enough one to just fit onto these stairs, you couldn't even turn it here. And then even if you could, you bring it up here, can't really turn it here. This is no space. So you would have to have this tiny little miniature one. This is a steel enforced gate. So you are not getting past that with a miniature battering ram. Now they could build a ramp, but it would have to be either a very steep ramp or a very long ramp. And how long that would take, and for it to not get destroyed by the archers that could like throw rocks from up there, it's just not possible. So they would have to either do ladders or a siege tower, which would probably not work. So that is, you know, that's some very good defensibility, I must say. Now, let's just get right on into the actual castle and see what's happening in here. Okay, so right away, if enemies did get through that gate, then they would be met with even more barriers, even more stairs, which you could put barriers up. You could rain arrows from here, and this thing is it just keeps going. There's so many stairs as well. Like all of these spots are like amazing angles or like choke points where the enemy could not really get to you. So even if you keep going up the stairs, more spots. And this is actually another cool thing. So I'm pretty sure there's a ballista here in the main game. Like when you don't complete the quest. And it will shoot down there. You can line up archers as well to shoot down there. Which is why I think there are so many arrows. And yeah, let's just keep climbing. So you go up here. Like just look at that ramp there. You could just have like 50 archers raining down arrows to the enemies. Like, they are not getting in here. Then you come up here. Big old spot. I don't really know why this is here, other than I think it's just for storage, as we can see in the background. Then last, but actually probably least, there's just this big old tower that goes up there. Nothing too crazy happening. But yeah, let's keep going. Because there's still this wall. So yeah, you can rain down arrows there, like I said. I don't know why this is here. Interesting design choice. Because these little gaps, I still need to look up what they're called. Those are for archers to shoot out of. Why would they be shooting into the ocean? I mean, it's not bad, but like it just doesn't do anything. And then I guess it just stops off here. Okay, I think it's supposed to keep going. Like, when they originally built this. So, I'm guessing this got destroyed. I guess I won't even talk about that then, because, you know, it doesn't even go there. And actually, just one more thing. There are these, fallback points, is what I like to call them. Which, this castle actually has two. Which is, one is that big old tower, which you can climb all the way up there. Although I'm lazy, so if you want to see what's up there, go do it yourself, because I am not climbing up that ladder. And then secondly, the other fallback point is this storage room, which I'm guessing is the armory. But you can just, I mean, it's a pretty small doorway. You can easily fit, I mean, a few hundred troops in here, honestly, like if you're all packed in. So, yeah, there are quite a few good points in this fort. Let's just quickly talk about if there were to be a siege. As you can see from the back, there is absolutely no way that they can siege from the back here. I mean, like, there's this little part, but that's not gonna happen. And if they... Shut up, bird. If they were to use boats to try and siege it, I mean, do you see how high up we are from that water? I don't think that would even be possible, because I don't think there were ever trebuchets on boats, only like catapults. And catapults don't go very far. So yeah, that's not really gonna happen. However, another thing you might have noticed is around this area of Fort Haight is a lot of trees. Now, trees can be good for a fort. Like, it can give the fort wood supplies, you know, to keep the soldiers warm when it's winter. But it can also be really bad if they're under attack. Because a little knowledge about medieval warfare, which is roughly the time that this game is designed around, is they would not carry their siege weapons with them. They would build them on the spot when they got to the fort. So a lot of times, they would actually chop down trees in the area of the fort, and then they'd build their siege machines from that. Well, if there are no trees, they can't do that. Luckily for them, there is one of the bigger forests in this game right next to them. And there's a pretty open field down there where they could get, I mean, 10 of these things and just bombard the fort. So, yeah, that's not looking too good for that. That's really the only issue with this fort. So yeah, I will probably give, if I was going to give the rating of the fort defensibility, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10, honestly, because the only bad thing is that trebuchet part. The next point is the reason why the fort is here. Because they don't really just build castles in the middle of nowhere. I mean, sometimes they do, but normally they have a reason. So what is the reason of Fort Haight? Well, if we look on the map, you can already see that Fort Haight is in Limgrave. Well, you know what else is in Limgrave? Stormvale Castle. So what does this fort even do if there's already a big old castle? Which you could say the castle is a fallback point, because that castle is massive. Okay? I've been trying to write a script for that castle to make another one of these videos, and it is taking me a long time, because it's huge. So if there's already a fallback point, then what does this fort do? Well, you can see that Stormvale Castle is really to the west, like northwest of Limgrave, and Limgrave is this big ol' area. So what are they gonna do if, let's say, Caelid started attacking them, right? The only castle they have is Stormvale Castle to march all those troops across, you know, this big ol' field, which in the actual lore is much bigger than in the game, by the way. So they have a fort here that's right next to Caelid that they could use instead as either a, you know, fallback point for the eastern troops, or to actually send them to Caelid to fight back. Because, I mean, Caelid already has Fort Gale right there. So, I think it's more of definitely a in case of war fort. Because there's really nothing else that it would be doing here. So, I'd probably give it, you know, an 8 out of 10. Which means that this castle got an 8.5 out of 10 for an overall rating. Which I think is pretty fair for just a normal fort. Anyways, just wanted to get this castle off my list of castles to look over. So if you enjoyed the video, if you could just subscribe, it'd help out a lot. And thanks for sticking around to the end. And I hope to see you in the next video.